So I'm here now with the guy who swooped in, and took the SG from right underneath me, and then a few years later I managed to secure it back from him. It's nice to have this like full circle moment to just kind of like reminisce over this guitar. Jim, thank you very much for coming along. James Farmer, is a teacher and player around Nantwich and the broader Cheshire region. And I just want to pick your brains about this. So the story that I had told and had always remembered was that you went out to town to get a laptop and then you ended up coming to get this. And then I remember you telling me on the day of the first gig that I saw you at, Brunswick, Jimmy Damage gig, was you said, "I don't think this has got much RAM in it, Mark." What about this specific guitar stood out to you?
The thing that stood out was it wasn't a laptop. The problem is, with my brain as it stands, a laptop is quite a boring purchase. It's very functional, really useful, just so boring. It's a bit like when you buy a fridge or something like that. So anyway, I popped into Snaky Jake's again on the way to Curry's or wherever it was I was going to buy a laptop, and then I saw the SG, and I just thought I'll buy that instead. Amazing. Seems like a better purchase. Not as useful in the terms of being a computer, but it's a guitar. So yeah, it's a classic bloke manoeuvre. I asked Snaky Jake if anyone would be interested in it, so I could scupper their purchase.
Of course you did, of course.
Well, it's nice. It's a nice little story, isn't it? Full circle. It's a nice looking guitar, actually, isn't it?
It's beautiful, absolutely. Yeah, I love that kind of finish, especially. I really enjoyed this guitar at Snaky Jake's. What really stood out to me was the neck, both in terms of its feel, the profile. I want to say it's sort of like a D or a U shaped profile. But what really stood out to me was the matte finish of the neck. When you made the purchase, what was the guitar like for you? What was it about this that really stood out for you?
It just looked cool. The SG is one of the cooler looking. I mean, they're all cool looking, aren't they? Let's be honest. But it's got that certain vibe about it. It's got that, with the horns, it's got that slight kind of metal vibe to it. Obviously the double humbuckers, great for making a noise. I like the slim body on it. So the body's nice. I do like the kind of neck profile. I don't really know what it is, but I like the kind of chunk of it and the flatness, the wideness of this neck. And it just looks good and it sounds good, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's iconic really, isn't it? The thing these days, I suppose, is if you go online, you can buy an SG. Me and you could go online and buy one now, if we have the cash, of course. And even if we don't have the cash, we can still buy one, probably. But it was right in front of you. And I'm a big fan of playing the guitar as it sits there. You can buy them online, which is great, no problem. But you don't get to interact with it, feel it, etc. And I know I'm big for that. I like to sit and connect with it. And it doesn't usually matter if it's a dead expensive guitar or a really cheap guitar. If I connect with it a little bit, then great. And this was one of those. And it just looks cool, doesn't it? And it's so much more interesting than buying a laptop and having to put all Word on there and all that stuff. So boring.
I can imagine. Classic bloke stuff.
It is, 100%.
I am totally with you about like just the importance of having those brick and mortar shops where you can try and play and interact and get inspired, even if it's not like a direct purchase. So I do think it's a really sad state of affairs that in Crewe we used to have 3 music shops: R&B, Snaky Jake's, Merba Music. We used to have 3 at one time, and now we have none, and that's a really sad state of affairs for like the classic music shops.
Same as Hanley. When I was a kid, when we were 12, 13, 14 maybe, we used to go to Hanley on the bus, which took forever. It probably still does, I don't know. And then you'd get there and there was, 4 or 5 music shops, and big music shops as well. And you could spend the whole day just mooching around, and you could try the guitars out and look at the amps and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think there's one in Crewe now, is there? I don't think there's anywhere you can go.
In Crewe, no. There's, in sort of Hanley and Stoke area, there are, off the top of my head, 3 shops. But yes, it's just a very declining state of the world, and it's a really sad thing that we have. But yes, it's great that you're able to sort of connect with this SG. What's interesting for me is that for the longest time, when we talk about like essential guitars, we have our Strat, our Tele, our Les Paul, I used to always like put the SG in and amongst that. This is my first and only SG. I might have played or tried my old friend Jack Hayward Cook's Epiphone SG before, but I didn't really have much like experience with that. Did you have any SG experience? Did you used to own any previous SGs?
I did, I did have an SG a while back. It was a very nice SG. I can't remember much about the spec of it, to be honest. It was a posher one than this one, but it had a problem with the intonation, especially on the G string, which used to drive me crazy.
Classic Gibson stuff.
Yeah, I should have just got it sorted out, but I muddled through, as they say. And then I had to swap it. I needed an amp quick, so I joined a band. Didn't have an amplifier, needed an amp, so I went into Snaky Jake's again, the centre of the universe at the time. Swapped the SG for a very nice valve amp, which was called an acoustic. The brand was called Acoustic, and it was brown, and it had like a wicker. I'm not sure if it's wicker. It's a wicker style front to it, which does. I mean, it doesn't sound very good, does it? That from that description, but it's like those old Mesa Boogies. You've seen an old Mesa Boogie,
yeah,
and it's got like a wickery front to it.
Yeah, interesting. It's one I've not seen, but I'll absolutely Google it and sort of.
It's a rarity.
Flash a pickup.
You don't see those amps around. I've seen one recently on Facebook, but it was a bass amp.
How long did you have that amp for?
I had it for a while, and then I don't have much luck with amps. The handle, the screw components to the handle fell off. One side fell off over. It weighed an absolute ton through mauling it in and out of cars and vans, etc. One of the metal components fell off the handle straight onto like the circuit board thing, and then fried it on live on stage. Fried.
Christ.
Smoke coming out of it and all that. Very dramatic.
I can imagine.
For the working men's club I was playing in at the time.
It's so rock and roll though.
Relatively rock and roll, but then someone from the audience had to pop home because they had an amp, and it transpired it was like a little. I mean, not as small as that, but just a little 10-watt practice amp, which I had to kind of put a crap mic in front of it, and yeah. But that was more rock and roll stories. I'm sure everyone's got loads. But yeah, swapped it for an amp, blew up the amp, sold the amp to a lady who came in a camper van, and we struggled to get it in a camper van. Yeah, didn't get as much money for it as I wanted because it was a bit broken. But apart from that, great.
Fair dues. Relative to the other guitars, Strat for like classic rock and like the everyman, very all-purpose kind of thing. Tele for twang in country, but also in rock and roll, and then the more heavier stuff for Les Paul. What would you say are the biggest strengths of the SG in general compared to those?
The SG sound is a little bit more akin to my Gordon Smith guitars, which I'm a big fan of. It's almost got that more, I don't know how you would describe it. It's more of a guttural sound, we'll call it. It's got that grit, I suppose. It's got a nice amount of grit to it. So it's kind of not that kind of clean idea that you get with a Strat or a Tele, but it's not that kind of Les Paul oomph that you would want. So I don't know, and that's maybe why different kind of people and genres have used this guitar, right from the kind of heavy, doomy stuff up to more kind of rock and roll-y type stuff as well. So I like its composition. I like the thinness of the body and how it sits. Obviously it looks cool with the horns, etc.
Very metal.
It's more unusual, isn't it? I'm sure maybe some people don't gravitate towards it because of that, but I always loved it because of that. I like its no-nonsense-ness. I'm a big fan of no-nonsense. And it's relatively light compared to like a Les Paul, etc. It's not a backbreaker, but what I don't like is the...
Dives a bit.
I mean, I don't know how bad this one is. They often suffer with a bit of that, because they're a bit kind of head or neck heavy in comparison to the body. But no, I like the lightness. But I do like to know I'm playing the guitar, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I like to know it's there.
Absolutely.
Which is why I love a Les Paul. I've got an old custom Les Paul, 86 or something I think it is. And the weight is unbelievable. To wear it, I used to play for a Springsteen tribute band back in the day. And we did full on, long sets. And you knew you'd been holding that guitar for 2-3 hours, whatever it was. So I do like to know that the guitar is there. But I like that about it. I like its dimensions. And it just looks good, doesn't it? It just
does.
looks good. And that's the main thing.
Absolutely. In the years that you had it, was there a moment, I guess, on stage or in rehearsals where this guitar, like, surprised you?
Surprised me. No, I don't think there was, to be honest. Nothing that stands out.
It just kind of, like, you had your expectations and it absolutely matched.
It just ticks the boxes.
Absolutely.
It's a relatively straightforward kind of rock and roll machine, I would say. An SG, no nonsense, which is what I quite like. I'm not big on pedals. I'm not big on faffing when I'm playing. I don't do much with the volume or the pickups. It's just basically on.
But on this SG, has there been like a go-to setting? Like, is there a preferred pickup? Is there a preferred setting in terms of like your volume and tone knobs?
I'm very plug and play, to be honest. I'm not very good at dialing in tones, etc. I'm very, in that sense, very, very basic as a guitar player. But I do like the front pickup. On this one, on my Les Paul as well, I just like the oomph and the kind of grunt it gives you on the front pickup. And it's got that depth to it as well. Obviously, sometimes it can get a little bit lost depending on what kind of music you're playing and who you're playing with. But I'm a big fan of the front pickup sound. That kind of bluesy, rock and rolliness that you can get from it.
Absolutely. For me, with the bridge pickup, I always kind of go to it like to begin with, especially in sort of rhythm elements and trying to get just this girth, but I do get this very like Telecaster-y, spanky quality, whereas the front pickup, the neck, it's gorgeous. It's so full, and I absolutely adore that on any lead stuff for this guitar especially.
Yeah, 100%, I would say. It's the go-to, especially on this one, like you discussed before. It's got that kind of slightly thin twanginess to it, whereas this one doesn't, the front, which is interesting, really.
From what I can tell in the research that I've done, the pickups on both this SG and my Les Paul Studio, I think they're both the same. They are Gibson's 490 H and T humbucking pickups. So it's a great example of how like the bulk of tone is not purely all in the pickups, but also I guess the depth of the body, like this is so much thicker and heavier compared to this one, and among other factors as well contribute to just the vast difference in tone. For the longest time, I used to think of and conceptualize the SG as being like this, whereas reality, I feel like it's a bit more Telecaster-y, at the very least, in the bridge pickup. So I found that quite interesting.
Right, yeah.
Don't know if that's a like experience that you've had.
No, you know what? I never would have put them in the same ballpark, so it's interesting to hear it. Obviously, I've never tried them side by side, so I wouldn't know. And obviously, different pickups, etc., will sound different. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I'll have to try it.
Have a little go in the bridge pickup position.
Very toppy, isn't it?
So if you then compare that to the bridge pickup position, I guess, in the telly.
Yeah.
So one of the changes that I made when it came to this guitar was the covering of the humbuckers. Yes, I know there is a sonic difference between covered and uncovered pickups, but my rationale was just the aesthetic. I don't like the look of uncovered pickups, especially uncovered humbuckers. So were there any like changes that you made to this guitar, or like quirks or things you had to like, I guess, wrestle with when it came to this guitar?
No, not at all, really. Just because it's such a plug and play rock and roll machine. But I agree with that. It does look better with these on, definitely. 100%. I don't like them exposed. It almost looks like they're not finished in a way. And it's all about image, Mark.
You said before about the horns, and I agree that like there is such a difference between the horns of an SG and then the double cutaway of some Les Pauls. I really think the horns just like they complete the aesthetic and also the tone, of course.
Absolutely, it's all in the horns. Yeah, I'm not mad keen on those double cutaway Les Pauls for some reason. I don't know why. It's only a slight difference, isn't it? I don't like the look of them. What I do like is a Gordon Smith.
Okay.
Which is a very similar idea, but for me looks better. Have you seen Gordon Smith? Are you familiar with him?
I think I've seen a few in Manchester. They've got Forsyth's Music Shop, and they've got a few.
They're the newer ones, aren't they?
Yeah. So I like what I've seen. I am just I'm not a snob, but I'm a traditionalist, and I like my brands. And when I went into Forsyth's and I asked them, right, what is the deal with Gordon Smith? Explain them to me. What's their deal? What are they about? And the store attendant was very frankly like, I mean, they're about selling guitars, like everyone. I was like, oh, fair enough, I guess. But yes.
Nice in-depth viewpoint there.
Oh, absolutely. He did elaborate on some of the details of which I may or may not have been completely paying attention. But yeah, at the moment in my current gear collection, I've got 10 electric guitars, and I like my brands generally speaking. I'm mostly Gibson, mostly Fender. I have the one Dan Electro, which is something a bit different. But yes, I'm not too familiar with Gordon Smith stuff. You made the joke of, hey Mark, would you be up for selling this? If you could borrow this back for like a gig, what would be the thing you played on it?
What would it be? It'd have to be a Jimmy Damage song, really. Something noisy.
Nice. Would you want to demonstrate something like that?
I'll have to try and remember.
Damn.
Something like that.
That opening riff, I know it wasn't that same song, but it reminded me a little bit of Redder. That, if you recall that song.
No. I mean, I remember it. I don't know how it goes. No, couldn't. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
That was open chords, wasn't it, Redder? I think it was A minor, E minor. I could have that wrong.
Same thing, but capo on 2, but yes.
Is it?
Yeah. I love that I can just sort of explain the chords to your songs to you.
That's good. Someone needs to.
You said you never really fussed when it came to like dialing in a tone, be it the pedals, the amps, the whatever, and hell, I noticed that as we were sort of setting up for today. That being said, was there ever an amp that you particularly liked to pair this with? I know you had an AC30, but was there any other amps that you think this really gelled with?
No, I mean, I've used it with all sorts. Marshalls, of course. But like we discussed earlier, sometimes with Marshalls you get that kind of fizziness with them. And like this one that we're using, the clean is great, but as we looked at before, the distorted tone was a bit lacking. So I've played it with Marshalls before, but yeah, Marshalls, bit fizzy of occasion. I like the AC30 because it's got that kind of combo between a clean kind of chimey sound, and you can, if you want to, you can get some grunt out of it. But I don't really play loud enough anywhere these days so I can crank it at all. But I like the AC30 for that idea that you've got a bit of best of both worlds, I suppose. But as for pairing, no, I don't think about it too much. I just tend to turn the amp up as much as I can get away with, crank it, and then make a racket.
Nice. Do you mind just get that pedal off? We'll
Yeah.
just demonstrate the fizziness of the Marshall channel. Play. Can you do the same thing but just kick that pedal on and move back to the Queen? It's just so much better with a pedal.
Yeah, it's loads better, isn't it? Lots more welly to it.
In the spirit of demonstrating and having the guitar in much more capable hands than that of mine, would you be able to demonstrate like a riff or an excerpt or something that really shows what this guitar is all about?
If we're going classic SG, classic riff, it's got to be...
I'm honestly surprised that you didn't play Back in Black, so...
Oh, well, yeah, we could do. I like that. That Sweet Leaf is one of my favourite riffs. When I was a kid, a kid, at 14 or so, 13 maybe, got some cassette copies from somebody of some old Black Sabbath stuff. Sweet Leaf was the one for me.
Could you play me something that you would only ever play on this guitar?
That's a bit of Fugazi for you.
Interesting.
If you're a fan of those.
Okay. I've loved this conversation. James, Jim, thank you so much for coming down. I really appreciate you spend the time and being able to just make this happen. It's been really fun.
My absolute pleasure, honestly.
And yeah, if I ever do consider selling it, I'll be in touch.
Let me know.
Amazing.